Okay, today, what are we doing? Okay, so here's the channel point redeem we're gonna make together today. How the redeem is gonna work, it's just gonna pause your main scene and then put the bottom text under it. So you're gonna recreate the Cyberpunk meme, and we're gonna learn how to pull in Twitch messages so your chat can write anything in the text. What you will need, you're going to need SAMMI, which is this program right here. We'll talk more about it later, but this helps me create all the redeems that I have on my stream. You're going to need the OBS Freeze plugin and the OBS Source Clone plugin. If you don't have those, you can check the syllabus that is pinned in the chat, or if you're watching on YouTube, it will be, all the links will be in the description. One point that I do need to make clear is this will only work with OBS. This will not work with Streamlab OBS. This will not work with like a flavor of OBS. Yeah, and you know what? I'm saying it. If your software looks like TurboTax from like 1993, you know, if it looks like this, you know it's gonna be good. The first lesson, software that looks really gray is really good. Okay, I'm gonna go over this very quickly, connecting OBS with SAMMI. This is kind of technically the hardest part, in my opinion. It's a little confusing at first. So SAMMI talks to OBS through something called WebSockets. I'm not gonna get into the technical details because I don't really understand it, but this is basically the way to set that up. I'll do an example here. You wanna go to your tools bar, WebSocket server settings, click it, you will get a window that looks like this, okay? Click show connect info, and you're gonna get a window that looks like this. Okay, I need to move my head because I'm in the way. But this window is gonna show some sensitive information. You're gonna copy that into SAMMI. So you're gonna click OBS connections down here. Use this IP or the one that OBS gives you, and then copy the password in here, and then click connect. So I disconnected. I'm gonna click connect. We good. And then the second thing you're gonna do is connect your Twitch. So there should be a button here that lets you like add a Twitch account. This one's way easier. You just click it and then like a website shows up. You say approve everything and you're good. You want all the first 3 green dots activated. You primarily want the first 3 green. We'll talk about bridge in the future, but you want the first 3 to be green. The first one means that you're connected to OBS. The second one means the second and third one means you're connected to Twitch events. I want to talk a little bit about how you should just conceptually think about all of this. On Twitch, you got like 1 million chat messages happening at the same time. You got 1 million, like, let's say subs, people subbing to you. You're balling out on bits. I'm sure all of you have had some idea before of like, hey, what if every time someone subbed, turn the screen to a different scene? Or anytime someone uses bits, a little guy shows up and does a little dance, right? Well, how SAMMI, so how SAMMI helps with all this, it helps read all these events from Twitch, and then SAMMI talks to OBS, right? So this is the Twitch world. SAMMI listens to everything that's happening on your Twitch channel. Use SAMMI to activate different things in OBS. The way SAMMI is organized is this paradigm of decks and buttons. You create a new deck, and in that deck, you can fill it with buttons. And you can actually like resize the deck to be as many buttons as you want. So here's a 25 by 25 grid. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep it the 10 by 10, right? And so here's the deck, and you can have multiple decks, right? I have so many decks. I got binders full of decks. And so this is the deck that I actually have for today's stream. It has all the stuff that I need to control, like all the different interactive effects. I can like automatically turn on redeems with the push of a button. Like I just turn on the airplane redeem, so you guys can turn on airplane, can throw airplanes at me. You know, you don't need as many decks as I do. For me, I can do a bunch of different concepts and each of them has their own redeems. And then I can go into SAMMI and like turn on, like I can turn on and turn off different decks depending on what stream I'm doing. So we're gonna learn how to make a button today. Let me show you an example here, actually. In each deck, you can make a button. And so I already made a button for the redeem we're gonna make today. We're not gonna worry too much about the code just yet. I want to draw your attention to these buttons down here, which is save, run, okay, cancel. Mainly the run. I wanted to draw your attention to the run button down here. But this is a great way to test your button as you're making it. If I click the run button with this OBS, with my OBS instance in the background, so So this will become important. You're gonna press this button a lot because you're going to want to test your buttons as you make them. As a streamer, you have unlimited channel points, so you can also do that. And you do want to be testing with your channel points as well. So you're testing end to end. Today we're just going to make one button to get you started. But in doing this, we're going to learn a lot about the different commands in SAMMI. Okay, so to make a button, I double click on the square here, double click again to go in. And actually before we get working, I'm going to right click, click edit appearance, and we can change the color of the button. I'm going to make it pink. I'm just going to call it Cyberpunk. You can label it. Highly recommend labeling your buttons. You can add an image if you want, but I'm insane. I don't add anything other than the text and the color. Actually, I don't change the color. I just have text. But you can customize your buttons. It's very helpful, especially when you're looking on a second screen to figure out what's going on. We've made our button. Let's double click and enter. I'm going to start adding commands to this button. So basically what this means is when this button is activated, it's going to run through a series of commands. The number one feature that every other app needs to copy from this is the search function. Like, look at this. I'm like, hey, I want to find the switch scene function. Boom. I type switch scene, or scene switch. Like on everything else, I have to like look down a really long like drop down menu, and sure, it's organized, it has groups, but this is so fast. I have way too many scenes. I have a problem. I'm working on it. And each of those scenes has like a million sources. SAMMI does enable me to have this many scenes because I can just search for them. Okay, so let's start over. So I want to find my scene switch command. I type that in the search bar, click that. And then I want to I want to switch to the scene that pauses everything. Oh, let me copy this here. I want to switch to a different scene every time someone uses this redeem that pauses this scene. Okay, so I'm going to make a new scene. It's all called Cyberpunk meme. And every time someone uses the redeem, it's going to switch to this scene. Okay, it's blank right now, but we're going to fill it up with something. All right, so I'm going to say Cyberpunk meme. And if I click run, it should just switch automatically. Boom, the magic of SAMMI. So I can control, that's already super powerful. You put like a giant squirrel or a scary skeleton on the screen and scare your viewers. Okay, so let's go back to the main scene here. And I want to set up this Cyberpunk meme scene to have, to copy my original scene and pause it. So how I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna add a source clone, which is one of the plugins you need to download. And this helps you mirror different sources in your OBS. So I'm gonna mirror the main scene. You can mirror a scene or a source. I don't know why I have to click active clone. If you don't see anything, like double click active clone and turn off audio. Otherwise your audio is gonna be mirrored and it's gonna be crazy. But if I switch between these two scenes, they're exactly the same, right? Let's build out the scene a bit more. So I'm gonna add a color source. This is just like a slab of color, make it black, put it behind this, and then I'm going to minimize this scene right here. Yeah, so it's starting to look like the Cyberpunk meme. And then I'm going to add a text file. Okay, so I'm going to call it the meme text. Where am I going? Right, let's do Times New Roman, classic font, and then test text. And then I'm also going to do custom text extents because this helps like box the text in. I forgot my settings for this. I think this is it. Okay, you can test it, but I think that's it. And the font size I'll make like 200. The font size 200, text extents 1500 by 500. Experiment with it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna rename this idiot streamer, and then also make that a center alignment. Boom. Okay, so we basically got our scene, right? So let's test it as is right now. So every time this button activates, it should switch to this success. Okay, so it's switching scenes every time we are clicking, every time the button activates, right? But we needed to do a few more things. We needed to play the sound and we needed to pause the video. All right, on the source clone, I'm gonna right click, go to filters. I'm going to add Freeze Filter. This should be one of the plugins you also downloaded and installed. So freeze, and it's just frozen, right? It's frozen on the last frame that you activated the filter on. If I turn off freeze, right, the video keeps playing, or the scene keeps playing. Okay, so also fun little effect, not relevant to us today, but if you update the refresh interval to like something higher, it like emulates like a low FPS effect. So like you make it at least 100 milliseconds, you can get like a low FPS emulation. You could also make like a redeem that like just slows the FPS of your stream. Anyway, we're just gonna put it at 0 because we want it completely frozen, and I'm gonna turn it off. So what I want to happen, we're gonna go back to SAMMI and add some more code. I want to add something called filter change visibility. Okay, you're gonna be familiar with all these commands. Once you do it enough, I believe in you. This basically lets you turn on and off filters. I'm gonna go to source name. I'm gonna select, I think our mirrored scene was called Source Clone 2, filter name, freeze, and activate it, okay? Now, when I activate this button and it switches to that scene, it will freeze the scene at the last frame. Boom, see? And then if we go back, everything's normal. And if we freeze it, go back, everything's normal, right? So we're like 60% of the way there. Okay, now we just want to automate it. We want to freeze it, right? But then we want it to go back kind of automatically, so we don't have to touch OBS. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to click this copy button here in SAMMI. So this means copy, and then this paste button, paste the same command, and have it switch back to the main scene when we're done. Next, I'm going to add a delay, which means like wait until this time before switching back to before running this command. So I know the time that I want. I'm gonna call it 2101. And that's the length of the sound that I have pre-planned, but you would experiment with that if you're doing this in real life. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna run this and see if it switches back to the same scene. Boom. 2 seconds there. And then, wait a second, hold on. Something's not right. It's actually not saving the last frame. It's like stuck on the same frame from the first time that we did it. So we need to add another command here that turns off the freeze filter when we switch back. Otherwise, it's going to be the same frame forever. So let's, yeah, so I cloned the filter change visibility, turn off the freeze filter at the same time we switch back. Okay. And then right here, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna run it again. Go back. Boom. Now it's consistent. I'm saving the sound to the end because if you heard, guys, if I had the sound playing each time, you would just hear this constantly. Okay, so we're gonna save that till the end. Otherwise, when you're testing it, because this is what happened to me. I'm testing it, and then it's just constantly. Okay, it's not a good time. It's not a good time. I'll save the sound effects for the end. Okay, so we're gonna do something fun. We're gonna do the fun part now, which is we want to change this text. We're gonna change this text to whatever chat puts into the redeem. Right? Chat can now control this text. I'm going to make a channel point reward. And here's a pro tip. I want to make the cost like a lot because I definitely have created channel points in the past at 1, and then like people in offline chat started spamming it and ruining my testing. So make it really high because as the streamer, you have unlimited channel points. Like I can use this and you guys can't. Check require viewer to enter text so people can enter text into the channel point. This is the magic, okay? Right-click the button, edit triggers, and go to Twitch channel point redemption. I click this button a ton, load from Twitch API, and then look up in your search bar, go to search bar, look up Cyberpunk meme. Right, so that's the redeem I just made. and then check user input required. Before I click save, I want to show you other parts of SAMMI too, which are really cool. You can trigger buttons based on any of these events here. So you can trigger it off a hotkey. So it's like, yeah, you just press numpad 1 and your button will trigger. You can repeat it after a certain amount of time. This basically like just repeats your button every X seconds. Look at all these Twitch commands you can do. You can trigger a redeem based on ad breaks or someone using bits. You can do it every time someone raids you. You can do it every time you get a shout out. This looks new. There's a lot of funny potential here. Like I only trigger redeems for 5 gifted subs. You know what I'm saying? You can do that here. Anyway, that's just a tour of how powerful SAMMI can be. Okay, so I changed it to this redeem. Hey, I could also trigger it on another redeem if I wanted to. 2 redeems trigger the same thing. It's 2024. We can do whatever we want. I'm gonna keep it to 1. Okay. So here's a very important aspect of SAMMI that you can take advantage of. So I'm gonna use a command called pull or trigger pull data. And this lets me pull information from who triggered the button from Twitch. So let me show you. Click this drop down, click channel point redemption. Whoa, look at all this information I can get from the person who triggered the redeem. I want to grab their username. And I want to save that username as, say, like Cyberpunk username. Right? I change the delay to 0 because I want it to happen first. Copy this, go back, and now select, where is it? The message. I want the message associated with the channel point redeem. The message that the person typed in. I'm gonna call it the Cyberpunk message, okay? I can save these as variables that I can use later in the button. That's crazy, all right? That is crazy. That is awesome that you can do this. Now if I want to edit this text, I actually don't want the username. I realize I don't need the username. So I'm just gonna click this trash can button to delete it. I just want the message. I'm going to find the command change text, look up the source name for the text. Okay, so it's in here, meme text. So that get my source name here. And then to add make sure your delays are as you want them. Otherwise, everything's gonna be out of sync. Now that I got the message from the channel point redeem and saved it into this variable, how do I use this variable to change the text? Well, in SAMMI, you can reference variables that you save by using this /$ command. You can see it already filled it in. And then, programmers may be familiar with this type of work, but this basically says whatever someone typed into the channel point redeem, save it as the Cyberpunk message. And if I want to reuse the Cyberpunk message that I just saved, I'm going to put it between these $ and slashes. And to test this, let me see if this works. Let's just test it. Let's just test it. To test this, I can't run it because if I run it, look what happens. If I go back to the main scene, if I run it just as it is, it's undefined. Right? Why does it say undefined? That's because this is trying to pull in a channel point redeem. Whoa, hold on. Should be right here. This should be right here. So this got mixed up. That's a problem first. This should come after this. Yeah, that was a problem. But let's test it again. So it should be in this order. I had the ordering messed up. You want to get the message first and then change the text. But then if I test it with the right order, it's still undefined, okay? If I test it, it's undefined. Why is it undefined? Because it's grabbing a channel point redeem and saving the message, but I'm not activating it with the channel point redeem. I'm not activating it with the channel point redeem. I'm activating it as normal. There's no user and there's no message. So I have to open my chat and then use my test redeem to test it, right? Because now it's actually going to fill in the message information. Big test. Boom. It's working. Yep, that's perfect. And so the last thing I need is my sound file. I'm just going to copy it here. Let me go through this really slowly with you guys. So what you want to do is you want to add a play sound file or playing sound effect command, and then look up where your sound file is. SAMMI only takes OGG, .ogg files, so make sure you convert all your sound files to .ogg. There's a website that I use to just do that constantly. I can link it in the description of the YouTube video if you're watching. Okay, so I'm gonna close that. Okay, so now the sound effects are in. I know the timing of the sound effect is about 2 seconds, and that's what I was testing it before the stream. Okay, so all together, this is what my code looks like. I'm gonna walk through it really quick. Anytime someone uses a redeem, take their message, save it as a variable called Cyberpunk message, upgrade the text to the message that the person used in the redeem, play the funny Cyberpunk sound, switch the scene, freeze my previous scene that was just on, so it looks like a JPEG meme, and then after 2 seconds, switch back. All right, maybe it makes more sense if I just do it live. So let's pull our redeems back up here. Haha, funny. Oh, hold on. Because I didn't save the button. I didn't save all this. Remember to save your buttons. If it doesn't work exactly as you think, save the button. Cyberpunk. Perfect. That's it. That's it. All the way through. I like doing this live because I don't have to prepare anything. I just do it live. But I think it's important to like have the little digressions because like you can really see everything that SAMMI does. Let's take it one step further. Okay? Because you saw us do it with channel points. So what if it activated for every Twitch chat message? Save that. Okay, so I'm glad I actually did that because I originally did that as a joke, but it actually reminded me for one last important thing. Oh God, this reminded me to highlight one important thing, which is queuing. You can queue. You want to activate queues for certain buttons. They won't play all at once, right? Sometimes buttons skip or whatever. Like it gets weird if there's a lot of commands happening at once. So I right click this button, click edit settings. I click allow queue. And then you can even group all your buttons together to the same queue. So say you have a channel, your Cyberpunk redeem, you have another funny redeem, you have a scene switching redeem, but you all want them to go one after another, then you give them all the same group ID. So I'm gonna call this group ID maybe Cyber Meme, something like that. And now, okay, just to show you the most insane example, like spam the chat right now. See, now it's all queued up. See, now it's all queued up. It's all gonna go through all of these buttons now. You can activate the queue by clicking active. You can activate the queue by clicking active buttons, and you can see the entire queue. I'm gonna click interrupt buttons all, and I'm gonna clear it. I'm gonna clear it. Okay. So that got my point across. What if every time this redeemed happened, it muted the streamer's mic so you could cut off the streamer, right? So there's a command to do that in OBS as well. Anything you can like click in OBS, you can do in SAMMI. So I'm gonna search up source mute and look up my microphone. And this is kind of crazy because I can actually mute my mic. This is kind of wild because I'm muting my mic in one instance of OBS and another instance of OBS is playing. That's kind of neat. So I'm going to add these commands here. Okay, so this is actually going to mute my mic when the button starts, and then after the button ends, it's going to unmute my mic, right? So now you'll be able to cut me off from talking every time the redeem happens. And actually, here's a little tip, a little advanced tip. I'm going to add a wait for timeout at the end. I'm going to wait for like, let's say 300 milliseconds. So you can hear like, there'll be a small pause in between each button. So you can hear me like desperately try to talk to you. I'm going to make it 500 milliseconds. For YouTube, this is the whole code at the end. I'm going to set it back to every chat message, and now it's going to mute my mic every time you use the redeem. I'm talking, but you can, it's cutting me constantly. Okay, so you can see this can get really chaotic and fun really fast. If you just think about SAMMI as a way, like anything you can click in OBS, like just think about this, anything you can click in OBS, like mute your audio sources, move things around, you can do in SAMMI. You can do it in a programmatic way. And that's what makes it really powerful. So that's it. Guys, we made it to the end. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. We do a lot of interactive stream concepts on my Twitch. And if this video helped your stream, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more.